NZ Aerosports, Icarus Canopies, now Gyro. That's right, we've rebranded, and Gyro is our next generation. It honours our founder, as that's the name we knew him by, but Gyro also marks the start of a new chapter. And not to be biased, but it's going to be fucking epic. Long story short, we're more us than ever, so if you're new to the sport, or even a Sky God Ninja Turtle, welcome. I think our valiant leader Lucy, Gyro's daughter, says it best.
And we still got that fuck yeah attitude. Rebrand! Woo!
Rebrand woo indeed, Lucy. Anyway, head over to gyro.com for more info and get amongst you legends.
I was 19, broke, unemployed, and sold my girlfriend's canopy for drug money. So I thought I better sew her a new one. What a sentence, and what a story. This describes the humble yet outrageous beginnings of NZ Aerosports, the home of Icarus Canopies, in the words of our founder himself. From getting a paratrooper toy from his mom, watching parachutes at the DZ as a 6-year-old, jumping off the wharf with a parachute made from bed sheets, doing his first jump at 16, sewing his first canopy on a borrowed machine at 19, and starting to sell parachutes out of a garage in 1986, Paul Gyro Martin had an undying love for the sky. Our company started with one man with the wildest of spirits and a true blue sky dream, a renegade. In the time that Gyro created and ran the Icarus Canopies brand until he passed away in 2017, he pushed everything he had to its limits. We miss him, and we always will. Gyro is the next generation of NZ Aerosports. It honors our founder, of course, because it was the name we all knew him by, but Gyro the rebrand also marks the start of a new chapter, our next jump. Gyro is the space between sound and silence, art and science, chaos and calm. Gyro is a state of epic tranquility that transcends understanding. That moment, in the door, in free fall, mid-swoop, where nothing but the present exists. A perfect balance of euphoria and thrill. Gyro captures our passion for flying and our commitment to designing break-the-fucking-rules canopies that deliver pilots pure, wild flight. Hey gang, so I got a new book out. It's called The Upside of Fear, and it's exactly what you think it's about. It's about the good side of, well, getting scared. In it, we talk not only about the science and biology behind fear, but the psychology as well. And it's not just coming from me, it's coming from some of the best in the sport. Omar Alhijalan, Jeff Provenzano, Maxine Tate, and so many more have contributed their sometimes terrifying stories to the book to help you overcome your fear. So head to the lunaticfringepodcast.com. You're going to find the link to the book there, as well as the other books. It's available in ebook, paperback, hardback, and audiobook right now.
Coming straight from the cockpit, it's another episode of Lunatic Fringe with the fucking pilot.
Ready, set, go! All right, back in the can for another edition of Lunatic Fringe Into the Void. I brought a fellow aviator, a pilot on in to sit and talk a little shit with me, but this particular aviator he doesn't like microphones. They fucking make him nervous. So, before I even ask who he is, I want you to take this. Take this. Take this.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so take that. And to loosen things up, I want you to sing me something.
What do I sing you?
You tell me. You're the fucking musician / singer. So sing me. I know you don't know Major Tom how to play that, but you sing it all the fucking time.
Ground control to Major Tom.
Yeah. Do you know how to play that?
No.
No. Okay. So what do you know?
Sounds like it. Sounds similar.
Yeah. Do you know any happy songs?
Ground control to Major Tom.
I want something happy. Sing me something happy.
Okay. It's by a band in New Zealand called Catch a Fire. Seriously, from thee. Since you dropped me a line, well, I know what you've been going through. Well, I know what I've been telling you. Girl, seriously, give me another one. Oh yeah, yeah, I happen to know what's gonna happen next. The rhythm will pull you into this here jam. I reckon the rhythm just can't stop you moving. Everywhere you look, people be dancing there. Sha-da-da-da-do. Seriously. Oh. It's been a long time since I've heard from thee. Since you dropped me a line, well, I know what you've been going through. Well, I know what I've been telling you. Girl, seriously, girl, give me another one. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to repeat that.
All right.
Next part.
So, and you're a pilot too?
Sometimes.
So, I mean, should I drop down and blow you now, or
No, don't do that.
musician
Thank you very
slash
much.
pilot and fucking all this talent and shit? You fly planes and all this. So I skipped the whole part. Who the fuck are you, and what do you do?
Well, my name's Taihuka Smith. A Māori boy from Hamilton, New Zealand, in the North Island of New Zealand.
Maori boy.
A Māori boy,
Maori
yes.
boy. Ah, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah,
and,
right.
And you fly airplanes.
Yes.
And you jump out of airplanes.
Yes.
Nice. Nice. So I've had the opportunity to fly with you quite a bit now, over all kinds of cool places, and do everything from shoot approaches to watch you pee in a bottle in your tidy whities while in a plane.
Yeah.
But how'd you start in aviation first off, and then how'd you decide to jump out of an airplane?
Well, we'll start with aviation. Yeah, 2011 it was.
All right.
2010, let's go back to. I went for the military, didn't get into the military because I had asthma as a child, as a pilot. So I was going there as a pilot, didn't get in because they said, well, going back by your records, you had asthma when you were a little kid, and we can't let you in because of
Really?
certain restrictions.
Really?
Yeah.
You couldn't become a Kiwi military pilot because you had asthma when you were a kid.
We didn't even have an air force. That
I was
had
just
jets.
gonna say,
they
how-
just sold their jets.
How fucking picky can they be?
Yeah, so you had Hercs, you had Orions, you had, it was literally going around and saving people, but their restriction was if you're on a solo, so they send you out on 3 days and you fly yourself and you have an asthma attack if you're asthmatic, which I was obviously as a child, then it's no good on them.
But you were no longer asthmatic as an adult.
No, I hadn't been since I was 10 years old. I was 21 at the time.
What?
Yeah.
What?
That's what I said as well. I went through all the training, got through everything. They passed, and then they said, "Oh, actually, looking back at your records."
How did they know you were asthmatic?
Looking back at medical records before I went on to the next.
Really?
One. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Dude, that's pretty fucking in depth.
So that was a full year, and that didn't work out. So
Okay.
2011, the following year, I decided for commercial training. Started that in February. and it was 18 months, and I finished that. And then got the day after, actually, I got a job flying skydivers in a 182 up in
So
Auckland.
your pilot training was a lot different than mine. Then you started from scratch and went all the way through to a commercial license.
Yep. So I was lucky enough that I was in a scheme that was covered by the government funding. So
Okay.
we got a student loan that was tax free, thankfully.
Now, was this something for all New Zealanders or Maori or?
No, all New Zealanders. So
Awesome.
It was
Awesome.
Student loan. You can do. You can train as a doctor. You can train as a pilot. You could train as a pilot, should I say? And they'll cover the whole thing, tax free as long as you remained in New Zealand. So.
Okay. All right.
Obviously, I'm no longer in New Zealand,
No.
so I got to pay a little bit of tax on that. But
Yeah, fair enough.
she's all right.
Fair
It's
enough.
worth it.
But you ended up your first gig out was flying jumpers.
Yeah.
That couldn't have been a plan though.
The following day.
The following day. You
Yeah.
what? Like you
So
graduated and next thing you know you were flying. You got hired to
It
fly
was
jumpers.
quite funny, yeah.
Wow.
I did it was about a 3-month course to be an instructor for flying. So my plan B was teaching people how to fly planes.
Okay.
But plan A was flying skydivers to get my hours up to then move on and progress up the chain.
Okay.
So I put CVs out into the various companies. Actually, the main one that I put my CV out to was Ballistic Blondes, where you obviously worked.
Davey and Kelly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
I put it out there, and what was that?
What made you choose Ballistic Blondes, by the way?
Well, it was the only 182 drop zone at the time that was pumping out proper jumps. So,
All right. No, fair enough.
Yeah, it was fairly limited in the North Island of New Zealand.
Yeah.
And I wanted to try and keep it close to New Zealand, close to where I was from,
Right.
and then obviously branch out from there if I needed to.
Yeah.
So Blue Sky Skydiving was a company at the time, headed by a good friend of mine, Aaron, and a good friend of mine now, and back then I obviously didn't know who he was. He calls me up and says, "Hey, we had a pilot that was working for us, or that was, lined up with us, and he's, for whatever reason, dropped out, and
Right.
we need him to be replaced within the next 2 weeks."
Right.
We've asked around at the different drop
We've-
zone, and we've looked
checked
at,
everywhere else and we have no one. So what do you think?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've gone to Ballistic Blondes. They're good friends of ours, and they've given us your CV, and are you keen? So I went, well, yes, but I've got this exam of mine for my CCAT, so my instructor's rating. This was on the Monday of the week, and on Friday I've got it. If I pass the exam, I'll be there on Saturday, 7:00 in the morning. I'll be there up in Auckland, and I'm with you.
Did you know anything about skydiving or?
No, absolutely not. But I knew that a friend of mine had been flying skydivers, and I wanted to skydive myself.
Right.
So I knew that flying would be a good way into it. So I said to him, "I'll be there Saturday morning. If I pass the exam. If I don't pass the exam, 100% I'll still be there Saturday morning, and I'll figure it out once that happens." Thankfully, I passed the exam, so it was worry free, and I was there the next morning. And
So the exam was so that you could be a flight instructor
exactly.
if things didn't work out with the whole skydiving thing.
Yeah.
And you
exactly.
had no idea what you were into with skydiving. Now, did you ever find out why the other pilot was gone? I mean, now you've been in
I
it for a
didn't.
while.
Yeah.
Because my first thought would be, what the fuck? What happened to this guy that he ended up not in it? Now, so you get started in the 182 drop zone. Did you start jumping right away?
Well, I wanted to, but we
But you were the only pilot?
exactly. Yeah, we were fairly short on pilots. I was about to say. There were 3 or 4 others, but they were all weekend flyers, and obviously flew just for a bit of fun.
All right.
So it took about a year and a half before I decided, actually, bugger this, I want to start skydiving. Got in touch with Aaron, and he said, "Oh, well, as long as there's another pilot that you can sort out to fly at the same time." It took a year and a half because it was going to be once I was able to get onto a plane with 3 slots available
Right.
in a 182, which
Right.
is impossible, basically. I would, I wouldn't have to pay for it if I was able to get onto it with 3 slots available.
Tough thing to pull off.
Yep, it wasn't possible, basically. And I figured that out eventually and talked to Aaron, and the two of us said, well, we came up with the idea that we could just pay for the hourly rate of the aircraft, or I could pay for the hourly rate of the aircraft, and
Right.
we just go and do...
So you're just buying the load.
Yeah. Well, no, I did 4 of my AF jumps. My first 4 AF jumps, I did it in 1.2 hours of flying, so I paid 400 New Zealand dollars and did 4 AF jumps.
See, that's a good deal.
And my 2 friends, Kitch and Aaron, like my boss and a good friend of mine, Kitch, they said, well, we're happy to do it for free. It's going to be awesome fun, and
Fucking cool.
managed to smash it out for fairly cheap.
So you started flying jumpers straight out the gate as a commercial pilot, knowing jack shit about skydiving other than you wanted to go do a jump sometime.
I knew absolutely that.
And then you end up going from that to flying jumpers in a 182 and getting your license. But was this something, I mean, you were thinking, I want to go be and I hate to use this term, but people use it all the time, you wanted to go be a real pilot. Not just a jump pilot. Now, this was when? How many years ago?
2011, so what's that, 9 years ago, newly.
Is that the first time you've done that math? That looked like it caught you off guard a little bit.
Oh, God, it's 2020.
Is this not what you thought you'd be doing in 2020?
Cheers to that.
Here,
bro.
cheers.
2020.
I'll tell you what, man, I, for one, can absolutely vouch for the fact that being a jump pilot fucking just jumps up and catches you off guard, because if you had told me that I'd be a jump pilot for 13 plus years now, and in skydiving for more than 25, I would have fucking laughed at you. But here we are.
Yep.
I never would have thought. And unlike you, I'm a couple years older than you.
Yeah, just 1 or 2.
Yeah, 1 or 2.
Forgot to
So
mention that.
I've managed to decide this is my career. This is what I do. I don't want to be a different pilot. I don't want to be a quote real pilot. I tried it briefly and fucking didn't like it at all. But I've kind of found a nice happy medium in what I do now, and I'm stoked to continue it.
Yeah.
But you're 9 years into being a professional working pilot. Did you think you'd still be flying jumpers? And is this, what do you see for the future? Is this something you want to keep doing, or do you want to be one of these epaulette guys walking through the airport?
It's a bit of both, eh? I mean, 9 years is a long bloody time, man.
Yeah, it is.
It's disappeared on me.
That's why you look so shocked right there.
It's gone from flying skydivers to flying in the bush, then back to flying skydivers again.
And we'll get to that too.
So, I mean, for sure, I agree. It's an airline pilot. It's the pilot of pilots. Oh, not the pilot of pilots, but it is the pilot, quotation marks.
Yeah, that's what everybody. When you say you're a pilot, everybody assumes that's what you mean.
Yeah.
People don't understand how many different facets of aviation there
Exactly.
are. Yeah.
And thankfully, I've done quite a few of those.
Yeah.
And I've absolutely loved them.
Mm.
And I would go back to each and every one of them in a heartbeat. But in terms of stability and career progression, I think maybe I'll look into going into the airlines eventually.
Is that the only draw to it? I mean, the money and the stability?
No, money, not so much. Like, money it's not really a big thing to me. It happens if it happens, and if it doesn't,
Sure,
it's fine. And as long as we're comfortable and happy, then all is good. But stability is a big thing for me, especially working in the bush for 3.5 years. I got used to doing month on, month off.
Mm.
So flying in for a month and then having a month off and doing whatever I wanted. After a while, I got sick of the living out of a suitcase
sure.
lifestyle, which everyone looked up to me and said, "Shit, you're living the best life there is."
Yeah.
But I got sick of the lack of stability, if anything, or lack of a base.
Right.
So
Well, and I'd imagine after a while when you're hungry and you want to get something to eat and you've just got this vegetable gourd thing on your dick and you got to go shoot some random deer in the jungle with your bow and arrow to eat, that it gets a little old. By the way, this is a bit of an inside joke. He hasn't let on that he was a pilot flying in Papua New Guinea, yeah?
Papua, yeah, West Papua.
Yeah,
On
so
the Indonesian side.
again, like I said, the vegetable gourd thing on your dick. And,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That must have been some pretty fucking intense flying. You were in a Pac 750, yeah?
Yeah, I was flying a pack over there, both a caravan and a pack. The caravan EX.
Okay.
I did 250 hours in that,
All right.
around about. But I was the main. Me and a friend of mine, Matt, were the main pilots in the pack.
Yeah. Single engine wise, that's still my favorite turbine aircraft on the planet.
I think I've got I've 600 or 700 hours now in the Otter, and I think the pack still trumps the Otter.
I love flying the Pac 750 as a pilot. The idea of a stick is just a fucking blast.
Absolutely.
When the pack is empty, it's super light and it's got ridiculous power, so it does anything you want it to do. But I love the Otter.
The Otter is beautiful. I mean, they both are.
Yeah. No, they're
They're
absolutely, as far as lower speed turbine aircraft go, and especially STOL aircraft, they don't get any better than those two.
Maybe the Porter, but I haven't got any.
No, I don't have any
experience.
tailwheel experience, and from everything I've been told, even accomplished Porter pilots get scared by that fucking
Pirates as well.
Pirates,
They
yeah,
are.
pretty much.
Most
Yeah.
Porter pilots are pirates as well.
This is my second podcast today. There's been a bit of wine going on,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, that's good.
So how'd you end up in Papua? I mean, that's a pretty that's a hardcore gig.
Yeah, I was
I mean, they still eat people over there, don't they?
luck of the draw. In parts of the world, yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I suppose.
Sorry, parts of Papua, yes.
I suppose they.
Which is
Well,
also part of the
it
world.
wasn't It wasn't that many years ago that they were still eating people in New Zealand.
No, it was a couple of 100 years ago now.
Eh.
It's a fair bit more recent in
I
Papua
don't
than
know.
it was.
I don't know.
I mean, but for me, that was one of the things that I really loved about being in Papua, is that what I was experiencing then in Papua was what my people, the Maori people, were experiencing 200 years ago.
Mm.
So I got to see it firsthand. I was flying missionaries into villages. And seeing them preach the word of the God and so on and so forth. And I happened to walk off at that particular time and go and play with the kids at the other end of the runway. But I got to see all of that. I flew that missionary and I saw people come from 2 weeks walk away.
Really?
2 weeks walk. They came, the villagers came. There was probably 1,000 people that had come. 100 of them would have been from the village that I flew into, and 900 of them would have come from 2 weeks walk
Jesus
to get
Christ.
to that village to see that person who was a
Really?
messenger of God
Oh,
to
yeah.
deliver his speech.
Wow.
That was insane.
Yeah.
I saw that kind of stuff day in, day out. But
Well, it didn't. I mean, in your country's history, that didn't end all that well for the missionaries and the people that.
no, it didn't.
Yeah.
Nor for us either. But
Yeah. No.
And I mean, that was what was scary, because I could see that firsthand,
Sure.
In many ways, I was living the moment where people were being told, and we were being told, what the missionaries is good because, what the missionaries is doing is good because
Right.
what the natives are doing is bad.
Well, so actually, since we're getting off on that subject, I want to ask. So you've seen in the news, this was probably, a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, the missionary guy that jumped off the boat to swim to the island to preach to the natives that had zero contact with the outside world.
The
And
Amazon?
I don't know where it is, to be honest, but I know that no one is legally allowed to land on this island. It is autonomous. You stay the fuck away. And he landed to go preach the word of God, and they killed him.
Yep.
they
I mean, bro, there's
they
places.
shot him with arrows and stabbed him with spears and stuff. And yeah, again, it was those heathens got to learn. And
Yeah, exactly. They're rescuing them. with
yeah, and then of course the next
quotation
thing you know
marks.
is you have nothing but absolutely brutal memes that are applauding the natives killing this guy, and I agreed with them kind of.
I mean, man, there's a part of me that thinks leave them alone.
Yeah.
They're the last part of the world
Yeah,
that are living how they used to live
Sure, absolutely.
thousands of years ago.
As they should be allowed to.
Exactly.
I mean, it's
you shouldn't interfere with that.
No, not at all. And
However,
yeah. Well, when I had the opportunity to live in New Zealand briefly and in the Bay of Islands and spend time in the treaty grounds and learn a little bit about Maori history and stuff, it was very enlightening for sure. And to watch people having
especially up there.
Yeah. And to watch people having to hold on so tightly to their culture and their history because it threatens to be washed out with the rest of this, cookie cutter world we got going on. So, wow, we went off on a dark fucking tangent.
That's not dark.
Well, it's just definitely more serious than this podcast is used to. I've seen you pee in a bottle at fucking 13,000 feet over Egypt. Over Egypt, yeah. Yes.
Because you were bloody messaging people back home for whatever the frig you were messaging about. I don't even know what you were messaging about, but I was going. Oh God.
Yeah. You ended up. I know we were refueling the plane.
Yeah.
And you were in charge of helping refuel, and of course,
no, I wasn't in charge. You were said, "Tai, can you refuel the plane? Because I got to deal with this."
Yeah.
And I thought.
Meanwhile, so you covered yourself in jet fuel.
Yeah, it's not just refueling the plane as in normal refueling. It had a, what was it, 400 gallon?
Something like that. Yeah.
400
so
gallon
we were
rubber
doing
bladder.
We were doing a ferry. We were doing a long distance ferry flight overseas, and we had to stop for one of multiple fuel stops, and we were flying a Twin Otter and had a bladder in the back to carry the excess fuel so that we could make it in just a couple of fuel stops. And so you hopped in the back to assist with the fueling and managed to bathe in jet fuel.
Yeah, bathed myself.
Yeah, managed to bathe in jet fuel to the point where when we were getting ready to depart, it smelled so bad that I was having to shove tissue up my nose because I couldn't breathe.
I did not know that.
Yeah, because it was that bad. And so I told you as soon as we started taxiing, I'm like, get those clothes off, man. Shove them in a plastic bag. To which you promptly did exactly that. You stripped off the outer layer. What that meant was that you were sitting in the co-pilot seat belted and harnessed in little tight blue underwear for the entire departure. Now, mind you, we're on a proper instrument departure. And you're in your underwear. You're in your underwear. And so off we go. And up we go, and I'm busy flying this departure. And as soon as we get past the really important part where I'm literally just following the line at this point, I assume that you're going to be getting dressed at some point, but I'm busy. So I've got things going on. And finally we get up to altitude and we're cruising along. And I think it was probably, I don't know, maybe an hour later. As we've crossed over and we're over open water. And I finally look over and you're still sitting there in your underwear. Completely comfortable in your underwear, and you stayed in those underwear until we were halfway across the Mediterranean and almost to Greece before I'm finally like, dude.
What were the words that I said to you, though?
I don't remember.
You're a stripper. You're used to people being naked in front of you.
Yeah.
I'm in my undies. It's all good.
Yeah.
No one else in this world has flown over it.
In their underwear.
At 30,000 feet, in a Twin Otter, in their underwear.
No, I guarantee that was absolutely a world's first.
Not only over Egypt, next to Mount Sinai, within a mile.
Yes, within a couple of miles of Mount Sinai and you in your underwear.
And then Cairo. And then
past the pyramids, past the pyramids, over Alexandria, and into the Mediterranean with you in your underwear the entire time.
Anyway, I'll tick that box. Thank you very much.
And then we got to Greece and everyone thought we were a couple.
Only because you said it, you put it in my head, and then I thought,
oh, it was painfully obvious.
Man, you were totally not wrong.
For those that have not met either myself or Tai, he's younger than I am by quite a few years.
Yeah, quite a few years.
And I appear older than him. At the time, I had my beard going, and my beard's pretty white. I used the other one. Yeah. It's pretty white, and so we're sitting at this restaurant in this wonderful little plaza in Greece, having a drink because we've arrived in Greece. We have an overnight there, and so
we're stoked to be there.
Yeah, we're really, really enjoying it. And
in Crete.
Yeah, in Crete, and it was very, very warm. And one of the popular drinks in Crete is like a sparkling white wine because it's very refreshing. And again, it's when it's hot out there. So we order one off the menu, and they bring it to us, and it's in champagne flutes with a bright red cherry dropped into the bottom of the glass. And as we're taking a quick selfie to celebrate the fact that we're there, it dawns on me that everyone that's walking past assumes I'm fucking you. Without a doubt. It's like, oh, look, the old guy bought himself a young one.
And guess what? You were paying for that as well.
I was, yeah.
You were paying for
I was paying for every bit of it, just not getting nearly as much out of it as everybody else thought.
As the rest of the population thought.
That was very funny.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so back to Papua. So you ended up getting a gig in Papua with what? How many hours? I mean, how much flying did you done when you decided you were going to do this?
Oh, shucks. What was it? I think it was about 900 hours.
All right,
Yeah.
so getting up there a little bit.
900, and they needed 1,000. Yeah, it was 1,000 they required for insurance reasons.
Okay.
So I got the job because I had 300 hours in the pack at the time. And the aircraft I was flying in the pack, as you said earlier on, was the pack.
Right.
And they were struggling. They'd purchased an aircraft. It was on its way, and they were struggling to find pilots that had experience enough to fly
So
the thing.
wait. So for the second time in your career, you got the job because they couldn't find anybody else.
Yep. Thank you very much. Whatever those powers that be are,
Hey.
they're lining it up for me.
Yeah, man.
And this happens to be the third job that I've gotten for the same reasons. I'll just keep at it. Whatever I'm doing,
Dude,
it must be good.
That's it.
So, yeah, they get in touch with me. Well, no, I get in touch with them first. There happens to be what was it? It was a site basically that throughout Oceania put out adverts and said people with these requirements,
Yeah, so just an aviation ad.
exactly
Yeah.
for jobs.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have a little burp there.
Yeah, that's quite all right.
And yeah, anyway, I applied. I replied to the email, and they said, "You don't have the requirements,
But we'll hire you.
but neither does anybody else." So we've come up with a plan. You've got 100 hours less than what we require, so you can fly in the right-hand seat, not in control,
For 100 hours.
for 100 hours in Papua, because you also need to have 100 hours
In country.
in country.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, for insurance reasons.
So that's not so outrageous, to be honest.
The boxes got ticked.
Yeah. That's not outrageous at all. And for those non-pilots that are listening, aviation, especially working in aviation, a lot of what we have to deal with is literally just ticking off boxes. Not necessarily on anything that's going to make you a better pilot or more experienced or more qualified for the job, but you just have to tick this particular box in order to be legally qualified, because like a lot of things, aviation is not run by aviators, it's run by insurance companies.
Yep.
So, well, that's cool, but then you end up in the PAC 750 in Papua, and my personal opinion is the PAC's an amazing aircraft, but it's also not a particularly great aircraft for the type of shit you were doing. I mean, it is and it isn't. I mean, the fact that you're landing off-field, uphill, and all these nasty runways and everything with a prop that on flat ground sits 6 inches off the ground, that's pretty fucking hairy, man.
We didn't think about the 6 inches at the time, but absolutely, man.
I always think about just 6 inches. Story of my fucking life, man.
Thankfully, now that I fly the Twin Otter, I think
A
about
lot more than 6
more
inches.
than that. However,
I mean, it's when I went to fly the PAC in Chicago, I went from a 5,000-foot paved runway in Yolo County in Davis to flying on a 1,900-foot grass strip, and I was acutely aware that, wow, okay, you tapped the brakes a little too hard, and I'm literally trimming the grass.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
yeah.
And there were quite a few strips that would go into that.
Well, these things would be pitched up like you're coming in, landing in the side of the hill, and you've told me the story off microphone, and it always brings up the movie Air America. I always think of that scene with
I'd
the
never
porter.
seen that until I went to Papua.
Oh, yeah.
I've been in Papua for a year, and then everyone said, "What? You've not seen it?"
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Watch it.
And for those that haven't seen it, it's this epic shot in the movie Air America with Mel Gibson and Robert Downey Jr. that they're landing this Platus Porter literally on the side of a fucking mountain, and it's got to be pitched up 15 degrees at least.
More for sure.
Yeah, and I mean they're landing uphill. Now the backside to that story is I believe they actually crashed that plane on that landing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that plane didn't actually fly off of that. They landed it, they just couldn't take off again. But I mean that's the kind of stuff that I envision you were doing, and I know it's not quite that intense, but it's still pretty fucking intense.
I mean, it was... Most of the places we were flying into were not that intense. But there were places also that were 200 meters, so what's that, 600 feet?
Yeah, it's pretty fucking short.
Something like that. 30 degrees upslope, so when you're coming in on approach, you got committal points usually about a mile away. So you're 300 feet above the touchdown altitude, and there's 200 meters of runway in front of you, which looks like a wall.
Yeah.
It's vertical.
Yeah.
That thing,
Yeah.
you don't see the perception of what the slope is until you're about, I don't know, 200 or 300 meters away, and then
Sure.
you see your vision has to go from looking at the top of the runway to gauge your height relative to it to the touchdown altitude.
Yeah.
Or to the touchdown point.
Right.
And in that moment you see bloody hell.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
thing,
yeah.
that thing is really friggin' steep.
Oh, yeah. Well, so when you were doing your 100 hours before you were flying there, did you go into any of those fields sitting right seat?
Yeah.
Because that
Yes,
would have
yes.
been the most terrifying part for me. Would have been having to sit and watch someone else do it.
Well, that's why I laughed. Because I nearly fucking died, bro.
Oh no.
I nearly died. It was at the end of that 200. It was at the end of the 100 hours. Not long before I was released into the pack by myself, and we were coming into a strip. With a really competent pilot. You know, I had no mistrust that he wouldn't nail the landing.
Right.
But it was the most complex strip that we had to go to.
Okay.
Which is why we went there at 6 in the morning. We took off at 6, we landed there at 7.
So nice mild conditions.
Yeah. So the winds start picking up from 9 a.m. onwards in the area that we were in. So we land there as soon as possible. And we come in there, we fly over low level, we see that there's no wind. We come in, which is in an EX as well, caravan to EX, which has got G1000s. So big TV screens basically in front of you telling you all the information you need in the world.
Yeah.
Wind included, which is important at that time.
Extremely.
And we're approaching the committal point a mile away, and the winds look good. So we decide we're carrying on. So this is at, what was it, 6,800 feet, I think it was. So basically 7,000 feet. So with every 1,000 feet, your true airspeed, so the speed the aircraft is flying, is 2% faster.
Sure.
So 14% faster, you're approaching at 80 knots, 14% of 80 knots is what you're touching down at.
Sure.
Anyways, you're cooking it. You're really, really moving when you come in and land. Not only that, but we pass the committal point where there's no wind, and if there's any tailwind component, our operation procedures were that we go around and we try again. If there's any tailwind component again,
Right.
we go.
Yeah.
We don't do it.
Yeah.
Because of how short and dangerous it is. And this strip has killed a lot of people at the time. In the past 40 years that people have been landing there. So we pass the committal point, all is good, and then we're about halfway through, so half a mile final, which is 50 feet, 100 feet before the touchdown threshold, and we look and we see that there's 5 to 6 knots tailwind. By this point, we're locked into a valley, which is the peaks are 3,000, 4,000 feet above us.
So you're not getting out of it.
You cannot get around.
Yeah.
I didn't say that earlier on, but yeah, these points, the committed point, you pass, if you go full power passing that point, you can't outclimb the terrain that's around you, so you're dead.
Yeah.
Either way. Anyway, so we're committed, and we see that we've got a 5-knot tailwind. So holy shit, we're freaking out. Powers are obviously already at idle well before they need to be. We see our ground speed is a lot faster than it should be.
right.
And against the flight manual, we're cracking beta and trying to get the thing on the ground. We get rid of flaps, we're pulling beta.
So you're doing everything you possibly can to slow this thing down.
Yeah. And it's not slowing down. We touch down anyway. We've got full reverse. So the EX has got 867 horsepower from memory. We're pulling full reverse, like, as far as it can go. Full brakes. And I've got a GoPro, which I happened to push record on a minute prior.
Of course.
I've lost that footage now because I dropped the hard drive. But I'd pushed record, and those brakes were locked up. From the moment we touched down, they were locked up. In reverse, and I'm in the right scene just going, we are dead. We're absolutely dead. We're moving. What was it? So it's a 30-degree runway. So it goes 30 degrees up, and then it levels off. Now, the level off is where the parking area is. And the parking area is about 15 meters long. From where it levels off from 30 degrees to level is about 15 meters.
Okay.
Which is about 2.5 times the length of the aircraft.
Yeah.
So we are doing 45 knots where it levels off. Like just before it levels off, we're doing 45 knots.
Which, for those of you that are not pilots, is
about 70k an hour.
It's fucking fast. It's plenty fast. It's plenty fast enough to squirt both these guys out of the windscreen.
With full reverse, full brakes, and then we hit that change in...
launch ramp.
We hit that whatever the frig the change is from 30 degrees to level, and our stomachs go through the roof.
Oof.
And I'm just thinking, we are dead for sure. We're going to get airborne, but we're going so fast, we're going to get airborne and launch straight into that rock wall that's right there.
Ooh.
And thank whatever the powers above are.
All right.
We go up, we go down, and whatever comes down is obviously a lot heavier than it was.
Yep.
So braking is a lot more efficient, and thankfully that brought us to a stop.
Oof. Now, obviously, beside the fact that you came up quite short and barely walked away from that
15
one.
centimeters short of a rock.
15 centimeters.
Prop.
Now, were you carrying cargo or passengers?
Passengers.
Oh, Jesus.
12 of them behind us.
Fucking Christ.
Yeah.
Now, what was their reaction?
They were silent. I was silent. From halfway up the runway, I just looked at them and went, "You've killed us, bro. We are dead, as can be."
I ask why how the passengers reacted, because I flew for about 2.5 years for Seaborne Airlines in the Virgin Islands, and especially when I was brand new over there, I was scared dramatically more than 98% of the passengers, because these passengers would take these hops between St. Thomas and St. Croix every single day, twice a day
they
for
would
work.
Chill about it.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
They had seen literally everything. Yeah. So you couldn't rattle these people. Meanwhile, I'm one of the fucking pilots, and I'm shitting my pants. So it's kind of funny because you had a similar experience, just much more hardcore. Most of the time, it was just crazy winds and turbulence that I had to deal with. I mean, that's pretty intense, dude.
Yeah, man.
At what point were you going, fuck, I should have just been an instructor?
Oh, man. The entire, 2 weeks after that.
I can imagine.
We shut down. So this was the first flight of the day because of how what I was saying earlier about the winds. So this is the first flight of the day. We did 14 flights after that. So I think we did 7 hours of flying.
Wow.
And the flight to get there was an hour. So we had maybe 6 or 7 legs to go.
Yeah.
all into gnarly strips, the same kind of extremity. Now, we landed. He managed to pull it up 15 centimeters short of a rock, which when we were pulling full reverse with a propeller that you can't see in front of you, with a rock sticking out in front of you, you think that propeller's going to stick it at any time.
Oh, yeah.
It's just going to go...
Boom.
Spark, boom, you are dead because you got 1,000 gallons of fuel on board.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I'm just looking at it going, we're done for. I'm silent. He manages to pull it up, full reverse, pulls it up. Now, the GoPro footage that I had on board, the aircraft is pulling so much reverse, 867 horsepower, that it pulls a wheelie. The nose wheel comes about a meter off the ground, and then it slams on the ground, and then starts reversing.
Right.
So the aircraft
Jesus
is doing a whole lot of work to bring that thing to a stop, and we came that short of it.
Man, oh man, oh man.
Anyway, he is a 2,000 or 3,000 hour pilot. Turns the thing around, and he forgets how to shut it down.
Oh yeah,
he doesn't.
I don't
he's
doubt
got
it.
No
I don't doubt
idea
it.
how to shut it down. All you need to do is feather the prop and then shut it down.
Yeah. Well,
He's just sitting there for 4 or 5 minutes going,
yeah.
God, how do I fucking shut it down?
I don't think people they don't quite understand that, especially with a situation like that where you come through something so gnarly when you know you're safe and the aircraft isn't moving anymore and you're secure, your brain wants to cave in on itself.
Yeah, it's done for.
Because
I've done my job.
Yeah,
Thank you very
yeah.
much.
Well, and especially when you fly the rest of that day and you've got however many more legs and 7 more hours of flying. People have no idea how much flying involves being able to control your level of freak out.
Yeah.
Because every leg you must have been going, I don't fucking want to do this. I have no desire to fly that plane. And I've had similar experiences where I've had scary flights and you have that moment where you are back on the ground and you're safe and you have to ask yourself, is this really what I want to fucking do with my life?
Absolutely, man.
Oh, my God.
The remaining, let's say 2 or 3 legs, the two of us were just looking at each other. And I'm looking at mountains, pointing at them just going, wow.
Yeah.
How am I even alive to experience what I'm looking at right now?
Does give you
and then we're looking at each other speechless,
Yep.
just looking at each other going,
Yep.
holy shit, this is incredible. And we don't have to say a word.
No.
Because we know what we've just experienced.
Oh, and
that we're still alive. You know?
Yeah. Well, and I've had not close calls quite like that, but I have definitely had close calls. In fact, one of the ones that I had was flying multi-crew and with passengers, and we were flying in between 2 islands, and I was sitting in the right seat, non-flying pilot, so I'm just doing the radios and basically doing paperwork. And I'm looking down doing paperwork, and the flying pilot's taking care of everything. It's our last 2 legs of the day. It's like 11 o'clock at night, and we're out over open water. And we're flying along, happy as can be. I'm doing my paperwork, and we're chit-chatting back and forth just a little bit. And it's a short hop. It's 25 minutes. And I'm about 3/4 of the way through my paperwork, and I'm just being lazy about it. And I look out the window, and it's a beautiful night. It's crystal clear out. There's not a cloud in the sky. It's not windy at all. And I'm looking out at just blackness because there's not much of a moon either. There's nothing no horizon or nothing. It's basically instrument flying. And as I'm looking out, I can see this intermittent, like, green glow. I'm like, that's really weird. I assume, all right, well, it must be, the lights of the plane, but how are we, is it kind of foggy? It doesn't look foggy. How am I seeing the lights? And then it dawns on me, I'm seeing the green from the position lights reflecting off the water.
No way.
And I look at the instruments.
What?
I'm looking at the instruments, and we're descending through.
I had a big smile just going on then because I thought you were looking at Northern Lights.
No, I wish. No, I'm.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm looking at the position lights, and for those of you that don't know, aircraft have a red light on one wing and a green light on the other one. So I was seeing the reflection of that off the water as we're descending through 200 feet unknowingly.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So,
and what speed?
We're doing like 140 knots.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So, and I kind of shit myself, but I don't want to spook him, and I'm spooked. So all I could manage to burp out was altitude. To which I hear, oh shit. And then you feel the correction as he pitches back up, and we did not speak for the rest of that flight.
Yeah, exactly.
We did the debarking of the plane. We got the plane emptied and got everybody out and got the next passengers on, and barely spoke on the way back, and landed and shook hands after the last leg and went, yeah, so okay, yeah. And neither of us wanted to talk about it. And I think it was probably almost a year went by before either of us went, yeah, so that kind of sucked, huh?
Yeah. To the T, man.
Yeah.
To the T. That's what happened on that day.
Yeah, and you just literally go, all right, well, cool. I'm not dead, and I should be.
From the moment that we looked at that mountain, we looked at each other. We still didn't say a word.
Yeah, no.
We looked at each other and went, we're alive.
Yeah, it
incredible.
Doesn't need to be said.
We did another 7 hours of flying.
Yeah.
Every single word that was said were operational.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Flaps 10 degrees.
Yeah.
Flaps 10 degrees.
Yeah.
Thank you. Props forward. Props forward.
Yes.
That's it.
There will be no joviality.
There was no
no, we are not
little
here for,
talk or anything
no.
No.
Well, and
Which
skydivers
happens a lot when we're flying.
Of course. Well, and skydivers will understand for sure, but especially pilots, you have those moments, and it snaps you back to just how fucking serious and how hardcore, because it's very, very easy to get not complacent, but just relaxed. I don't consider myself a complacent pilot at all, but I do get very relaxed. I mean, you do the same thing over and over again, and it takes very little to snap you back, slap you across the face, and go, "Hey, fuckstick, this shit is serious, man."
A plane.
Yeah, it's a big deal, and I know you're the same as me. I take my job and my responsibility to that very seriously because I've had circumstances in my past. We joke around about you flying around in your underwear and all that shit, but the truth of the matter is, especially on that flight, this is all taking place in stable positions of flight when you got to take a piss. Yep. It doesn't matter what you're fucking wearing. We're still doing the job and doing it correctly. But it's when you have those opportunities to get a bit of a giggle out of it, you take it, but you take it in the context that it is, which for us makes it that much fucking funnier. Makes it that much fucking,
sure.
Like you and I have worked together on drop zones, and when we're flying together, and God forbid we're on the same radio frequency, the manifest and ground control are ready to fucking kill us. I have heard.
I've already mentioned multiple times we need our own frequency.
Oh, more you than me. I have personally witnessed manifest asking you to shut up at least half a dozen times. In fact, very recently we were flying together, and I heard Manifest go, "All right, Ty." And that's all they said, and you shut up instantly because you're just triggered. That's it.
And I was waiting for your response, but I noticed that you didn't respond. I went, "Oh,
no." I was going to let you take the bullet on that one.
I overstepped the mark.
Well, this coming from the guy who I've listened to you sing the entire fucking Major Tom song over the air in one microphone key more times than I can count. And for anybody that isn't a pilot, that means that he pushed the button once, which means no one else can talk. And all you can hear is this guy horribly butchering David Bowie's Major Tom. Horribly.
It's
horribly.
Majestic. Majestically butchering.
Now, all that being said, we get to have that kind of fun while still being very professional in the way that you're flying the aircraft, but it's tough. It's tough to match the fuckstick that's singing Major Tom with a competent pilot at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people think we spend a whole lot of time screwing around up there, and they don't realize just how truly busy. And all the jump pilots listening will agree with me how truly busy shit can get. I had a former jumper turned pilot send me a message, I think a couple of years after he had been flying, and he did a bit like you. He went straight through a college program all the way to ATP and started flying jets. And I think the first plane he was actively flying for work was a 737. And he sent me a message shortly after he did that, and the message in a nutshell said, "I always thought you were just being lazy and fucking around up there. I've never been more tired in my entire life than after a day of flying." And I went, thank you. Welcome to the club. Yeah. And people don't realize it's exhausting. So you kind of take your little mental breaks when you can.
Yeah.
For sure.
Which is tapping that button and talking shiza to people that don't want to listen to you.
Yep. Well, now you also you finally became an avid jumper. I know this because I've watched you destroy skydives firsthand.
For sure. You tried to pull my shoe off me.
I did. I don't know why why did I end up with the obsession of fucking with your shoes?
I don't know.
I'm not sure how that happened, but
you
anyway.
still got it, though. You still got it.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Every chance I get. But on this particular skydive, I was bound and determined. We were doing a head-up jump, and I was bound and determined to take that shoe off of you, and I couldn't get it off, but I managed to grab you and throw you all around the sky, which was quite fun. I did enjoy that. So you managed to survive Papua, and you end up working back in the skydiving industry and ferrying aircraft occasionally. We've had the opportunity to do that a couple of times, which has been awesome. What's down the road? Are you still thinking airlines eventually, or after 9 years? 9 years. 9 years.
9 friggin' years.
It's been 9
Don't
years.
Even say,
After 9 years, now that being said, you're still young.
Yeah.
So, you have the opportunity still to take a shot at a big boy career.
What's a big boy carry?
Flying the jets, being a real pilot.
Yeah.
Is that still something you find attractive, other than the stability? Do you find the idea of going out and flying a fucking, A380, is that cool to you, or?
It's cool, for sure.
Yeah.
There's parts of me that think that's awesome, and I don't know. I look at that machine and think that I'd love to be in command of that. But there's also another part of me that thinks the flying that I've done so far, both in Papua and here, is the best flying that I'll do.
Sure.
So there's a part of me that regrets that I would go into the airline world, but also that I feel that what I wanted to achieve.
Sure. Yeah. No, I see it.
When I started out, I've achieved it.
Well,
in many ways,
you're in a great spot too, because a bit like me, I hit that itchy phase in skydiving where I went, all right, is this it? Is this all I'm going to do with, my aviation career? And took it to an airline and did 2.5 years in a 121 airline, So I was proper in the system, playing the game. Although granted, it was a very low key airline that I was floored because it was just a very small regional in the Caribbean. But I got to experience that and went, oh yeah.
Still the airline life, eh?
Yeah, so I got to do it, and I've been able to hop on a plane in fucking Boston and jump seat to San Francisco, because I was an airline pilot, and so I got to cross that off the list, and I also got to come back to the life that I decided that I absolutely loved. And you're plenty young, so you can go have a decent career in the airlines and still come back to flying.
Nah, bugger that. I'm coming back here.
Yeah.
I'm going up and down 20 times a day.
Yeah, well, and that's me. I enjoy this type of flying way too much, and I enjoy the people that I get to deal with way too much to be able to do that. But you're still young enough to want to go run around banging cabin crew and doing all that shit.
I mean, well, yeah, we'll see. Let's just see what happens.
You never know, man. I mean, you could end up having an absolutely great time working for an airline with the chief pilot of the airline betting money on you that you're gonna get this particular cabin crew or that one, or you never know.
I mean, what a brilliant airline that would be, eh?
Yeah, you never know.
You never know.
You never know.
Otherwise, you come back to a similar company that would do the same.
Right. All right. So as we round the hour mark, I'm going to ask you. So listening to the podcast, you've got somebody that's just decided they want to start flying airplanes. What advice are you going to give them for what you think they should and shouldn't do? Is there a benefit to the way that you did it in going through a school that took you all the way through commercial, or did you find it was a drawback? What advice do you have for anybody that wants to go start flying?
Well, for me, I was super lucky that I was able to get to commercial, get the hours that I needed. Actually doing the instructor's rating helped me get a job in New Zealand itself, because we had a 300-hour insurance requirement again for skydiving.
Right.
So it got me to 280, 290 hours, I think it was. That meant that I was able to get over the hour requirement for insurance. But In terms of, I think in terms of information that I give to people would be just follow what you want to do. You know, for me, I really wanted to fly skydivers. I wanted to skydive itself. So I knew
that's
that
big.
Getting into skydiving or getting into flying skydivers would get me into skydiving. And then it went from there.
Well,
it took me all over the world.
I think I suppose it's a bit of a weird question to ask you anyway, because if somebody's listening to this podcast, they're obviously already either involved in or interested in skydiving, so it's already on their radar. But if it's just a pilot that it doesn't necessarily have any direction at all, it would be very difficult now with all the different ways you can go in aviation to decide what kind of pilot you think you want to be. And you and I are both, I for sure am a victim of my choices in that if I wanted to change now and go be an airline guy, I'd have a very difficult time being taken seriously because I've got over 11,000 hours and 300 of it are instrument. You know, I mean, I've got very little experience that the airlines want to see, but a whole lot of flying. So my resume looks like somebody that's just been having nothing but fun.
A good old time.
Yeah, you know, I've been basically a barnstormer, you know, for my entire career. Luckily, that's the career that I want.
Yeah.
So I suppose if I was going to give any advice to anybody listening, it's pay close attention to what direction you think you want to go. And if you want to do the airlines, but the skydiving thing is a great way to build hours, make sure that you're still putting in your logbook the things that those airlines are going to want to see. Because what I ended up with was...
Putting in your logbook.
Yeah, you know, get it done, man. I've got, you know, 3 or 4 landings an hour going up and down in the same fucking airport for years. You know, that's not what an airline wants to see. So if you're thinking of getting into flying, make sure you're ticking all those boxes, as we've said. It's kind of important. And, yeah, I mean, the adventure side of it for me has been fucking epic.
I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like skydiving has been, there's no way I look back at what I've done and think that I've regretted it.
No, hell no.
I was lucky enough that I got IFR time when I was in Papua. So I got a few 100 hours doing that, and the airlines would look well upon that.
Sure.
As well as the skydiving flying and the jungle flying that I've been doing.
Sure.
As well as the fact that they see jungle flying as a renegade type of flying. However, people that have been there, you know, flown in the jungle, see that if you are not sticking to SOPs and you don't stick to things that are meant to be done, it ends up in one thing and one thing only.
Well, that's the big thing too.
It's a big old crash.
The type of flying that you did in Papua looks much better to an airline over the type of flying that I've done because you're 2 crew. So it's, you know, it's multi-pilot, which is a big deal. It's multi-crew. It's crew resource management. It's all the things that they want to see, and it's damn good training. And it's why I'm very, very glad that I had the opportunity to do the time that I did with Seaborn. I've since gone on to you know, a larger aircraft flying a Sherpa and such that is 2 crew required, and it's falling back to the airline stuff that I was taught that's invaluable. So yeah, very cool. And it's again, it's a good thing to look back on and be able to say, especially for you, if you decide to go into the airlines, you've kind of ticked the boxes for all the crazy, wild, fun stuff, and you can do that, and you can always come back this direction.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is cool.
I mean, for me, I feel content that I've ticked those boxes.
Oh yeah.
And all the things that I wanted to do before I started flying, and then, you know, now it's just airlines, and
yeah.
If that doesn't satisfy me, then I can come back to it. But if it does, then we carry on going.
Hell yeah.
Full power to that.
So, as we finish up, skydives. How many skydives have you got?
I came here with 70, and I've got... I actually don't know. I've got no idea because I stopped logging when it was about 220.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, because that's the number you should stop logging at. Well, I mean, if it makes you feel better, you definitely your skill level shows at least someone with 70 jumps.
I've been approached by multiple people who said you need to continue logging your jumps.
Yes. It's kind of important.
Yeah, but it is. Yeah, but
But
I got somewhere between 200 and 300
all right,
jumps.
very good. But so you kind of ticked off all the everything that you wanted to do. You're a working pilot and you're a skydiver now.
Yeah.
So you achieved those goals, and now it's just onwards and upwards.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I want to do in skydiving. Somebody asked me the other day that whether I'd like to teach people how to skydive or not. And I think because of my instructional experience with flying,
Right.
I'd like to translate that to skydiving.
Sure.
I think obviously it sort of correlates a lot.
Probably going to need to update that logbook.
I think
Just saying.
a few hundred more jumps than I've got. Anyway,
No one in the history.
We're happy that we've got 2 drop zones.
Yeah.
We can just ask for the jump history, and
Yes, luckily
good.
modern
I'm good.
technology with most drop zones, they track your jumps for you. So when you're a lazy bastard, you can actually.
How many jumps do I have? Sorry.
It's so bad. Oh well,
I can give it to you to the T's.
they can. Yeah. Everyone.
No
Well-
problemo.
Ty, I'll tell you what. In order to say goodbye this time, I put the glass down.
Oh,
I think you've had quite enough anyway. Here's the guitar. I want you to pick one last song that.
Everybody that thought I was mumbling and
No, you're slurring
not
at this
speaking
point.
clearly and slurring and
Speaking cleary.
speaking clearly.
All right, so now, first off, for my audience, I'll have you know, he asked to have too much to drink for this podcast. We have done this a couple of times before.
2 times.
But 2 times before, but apparently putting a microphone in Ty is like dropping your cock in his face. He just seizes up.
No.
So
Apparently I speak well, Apparently I
so you're just going to want to sing now.
apparently the 2 of us, when we get together, we speak a lot of shit.
Yeah, we
And
definitely
a microphone should not get in our way.
it shouldn't, but it does for you.
But when we speak, and I haven't had anything to drink,
Yeah, well, you've definitely had a bit this time.
things get in our way.
It is. So, one last song, and I want it to be a
Relax.
happy song to sing us out. All right, so go. What do you got?
Well, you done me, and you bet I felt it. Try to be chill, but you're so hot that I'm melted. Fell right through the cracks, and I'm just trying to get back. Before the cool down in my night, I'd be giving it my bestest. Nothing's gonna stop me but an intervention. I reckon it's again my turn to win some or learn some, but I won't hesitate no more. This cannot wait. I'm sure there's no need to complicate. Our time is short. It cannot wait. I'm yours. Yeah. And open up your mind and see like me. And open up your plans and then you're free. Look into your heart and you'll find love. I mean find. Look into the music every moment, people dance and sing. We're just one big family. It's our God-forsaken right to be loved. So I want our time is short. This is our fate. I'm sure there's no need to.
Well, there you have it. Another episode of the Lunatic Fringe podcast brought to you as always by, well, wait, not as always, actually. Brought to you now by Gyro. Formerly known as NZ Aerosports, you'll head to gyro.com for their next level line of canopies. By Pussfoot. the Extreme Sports Collective. Head over to pussfoot.com to check it out. By Summit Parachute Systems, check out summitparachutesystems.com to talk to Jarrett Martin and the gang about kick-ass pilot rigs, rigging courses, and more. By Flyaway Indoor Skydiving, go to flyawaytn.com and check out all the cutting-edge stuff to come. By Pure Spectrum CBD, head to purespectrumcbd.com to check out their wide range of CBD products. And as for us, head to the lunaticfringepodcast.com to listen to any of the hundreds of episodes currently available, hit the link for our YouTube channel, pick up your copy of the Lunatic Fringe book or The Accidental Stripper, and get a sneak peek at upcoming guests. Once again, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Get on.